say, kids, what time is it?
Hey everybody, Keith here with a long overdue video. I've been trying to get this out for a while now. I am just completely slammed this month. I have not had 2 seconds. It's been incredible. And I'm going to be scarce again for a couple weeks, but I wanted to get something out before I leave again. And I'll try to do some videos from the road, but we'll see where that takes us, because I do have a lot of things I want to get off my chest here and talk about, to you guys, and maybe get some feedback. Before I go into this, if you haven't subscribed, please hit that button, and so inclined, give us a like on the video. If you don't like how this one turns out, you can give us a thumbs down too. That works just fine. I also want to thank everyone who's been commenting on my Star Trek The Motion Picture video. It's been unbelievable, the comments, and I'm trying to keep up with those as well. So if I don't get back to you right away, it's nothing personal. It's just trying to answer everyone. I want to make sure I do that while the channel's still small enough to be able to do that. So anyway, as you can tell by the screen, I wanted to talk about the miniseries Winning Time: Rise of the Lakers Dynasty on HBOMax. I just want to preface it by saying, in 1979, I was a 10-year-old boy, and Magic Johnson and Larry Bird caught my imagination. They were both in college at the time, and Indiana State, where Larry Bird played, and Michigan State, where Magic Johnson played, faced off in the national championship game, and Magic came out on top of that one. And they were both drafted into the NBA the following year. And in my opinion, the NBA became interesting to me, but I think it kicked off an era that is to this day unprecedented. I don't think the NBA, they might have players with far more talent, far more athleticism. You know, the advancements of the game do bring that, but to me, the 1980s through the mid-90s was the golden era of the NBA. And a lot of that had to do with my favorite player, Irvin Magic Johnson. So HBO puts together this series, and excuse me, it had a great look, a great feel. We'll get into some of the technical details of it in a bit, but it really captured the era of the time very well. I think the art direction was supreme. This was all put together by Adam McKay, who was he directed the first episode, and he was kind of the showrunner on this thing. And a couple of opinions about it. Right off the bat, I think that aside from him injecting a couple of his personal political opinions in the first episode, it was pretty entertaining. I know it's not factually accurate either. We'll get to that in a bit too. But it basically covers the 1979 to 1980 season, in which the NBA in 1979 was in dire straits. The league was failing in the 1970s. The networks didn't pay to cover the playoff games, so the playoff games were not even televised on TV. And the league was really, really in trouble. So the arrival of Larry and Magic and Dr. J coming from the ABA, which was a competing league, kind of like how the NFL and the AFL came together, he came to the NBA around the same time and kind of launched this I don't know, what did you call it? There was a genesis effect, if you will. So, suddenly basketball became something, a curiosity. You wanted to watch more and more of it. And it all started, right, as we can see, as the show starts with the Lakers drafting Magic Johnson. And at the time, the Lakers were bought by Dr. Jerry Buss, played by John C. Reilly. And he was kind of, he was a bit of a grifter. And he bought the Lakers when he didn't have the money to buy the Lakers. And part of buying the Lakers was he actually bought the LA Forum and a whole bunch of other little other businesses as part of it. He bought from Jack Kent Cooke, who at the time was the owner of the Washington then Redskins. And he was kind of riding by the seat of his pants the whole time. Jerry's whole idea was, we're going to make the NBA exciting. We're going to make it a must-watch product. We're going to make it Showtime. We're going to glitz it up. And this is one of those stories where, historically factual or not, this is one of those stories where it's an inspirational thing where this guy is told over and over that he can't do something and comes out on top because of sheer willpower, sheer determination. When I'm watching this and he's going through his financial troubles, you could see, 99 and a half out of 100 people buckling under from it, and he just stays the course. It's not easy for him, but he stays the course. His mother is played by, oh God, I just drew a blank. Sally Field plays his mother, who was the principal share owner of the team. She kind of made all the financial decisions and controlled the money until the time of her death. But one of the big strengths of Winning Time, I think the biggest strength of Winning Time, besides I think some of the great technical aspects, is the casting. The casting is incredible, absolutely incredible. So starting with Quincy Isaiah as Magic Johnson, just did a great job on that one. Let's see, who else do we have here? Okay, this one. Solomon Hughes as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They found a clone of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Right in the first episode, we meet Kareem filming Airplane, and it's so spot on. What I didn't like, and this is where Kareem went from being Lou Alcindor to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he's kind of, they made him surly as part of this transition to Muslim and things like that. And it was just kind of, I don't know. I mean, I know Kareem probably was not the easiest guy to get along with, but it was kind of cartoony and over the top how he was so angry all the time. And then suddenly he gelled with Magic and the guys and became the captain they always wanted. So, but my God, I mean, I don't know where they found this guy. He is really dead ringer for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar of the time. And, yeah, so just look at some shots of them together. Another great piece of casting, Larry Bird. When I was going into this and I'm like, oh, geez, they're going to bring Larry Bird into this. How do you do that? Like, where are you going to find a guy who looks like Larry Bird? And they found him. They completely found him. The guy's name that plays Larry is Sean Patrick Small. And you can see from this photo here that they did a great job. The other thing they hit on was that Larry was also kind of a surly character, would talk a lot of trash and things like that with these guys. A lot of times tell him exactly what he was going to do and go and do it. I think they dialed it up to 11 a bit with his hatred of Magic at the time. Anyone who followed the Celtics and Lakers of the 80s know they ended up really good friends, but boy, he walked on the screen. I said, my God, it's home run after home run with the casting. This Delonte D'Souza played Michael Cooper. Michael Cooper was one of my favorite, most underrated Lakers of the era. Great job with that one again. Norm Nixon. Now, Norm Nixon was a player on the Lakers who, when they drafted Magic Johnson, kind of had to take a back seat. He was the team superstar, and Magic came in and, displaced him, and there's a lot of tension on that early on, but they end up learning to work together. The trick here, though, is that Nixon's played by his son, Devon Nixon, and it's uncanny. You can't get much closer to the real guy than his offspring. Spencer Hayward, they made a good storyline where they really grossly exaggerated offense around Hayward, but phenomenal, I thought, performance. Wood Harris, really good, a player who's struggling with addiction, becomes a big part of the second half of the season. And then there's other bit players. The cast, you had Jason Clarke playing Jerry West, famous Laker guard. You had Gabby Hoffman as Claire Rothman, one of the upper office people. And a couple others like Adrian Brody as Pat Riley, and Jason Segel as Paul Westhead. So all in all, I think that it was very entertaining. By 10 episodes, I got a little burned out on it. I think the story could have been told in about 8. And, after some of the episodes, I would look up historical accuracies of what was going on. And it seemed like early on, it stayed a little more true to what they were trying to do. But toward the end, you could tell, even I could tell, that some of these had to be, this was getting ridiculous. There was a scene where Haywood goes back on crack cocaine and decides he wants to murder the entire Lakers team, and that's because they cut him, and that's just not even close to being accurate. So also about halfway through the run, we started to these stories started to pop up. So Jerry West being the first, this happened, you can see, in late April. Jerry West decided that he'd had enough of his portrayal. To be honest, right from the beginning, the same thing happened with me. I thought that they made Jerry West to be just an angry, bitter guy who just found no joy in life, and it was a little over the top. He's always yelling and he's swearing like a truck driver, and so Jerry himself said exactly that, like, this is wrong, and I want you to cease and desist, and he wanted an apology and a retraction over his portrayal in the series. They refused to do it. Now he's threatening to take it to the Supreme Court. But I gotta say, Jason Clarke looks really good. I mean, I'll say it probably a few more times before I'm done with this video. Every time they introduced one of these characters, or these players in this biopic or bio series, I was like, oh my god! Like, having watched them in that era, I was just like, damn, they really did a good job. But not long after Jerry West criticized the show, Kareem himself criticized the show. And this is from Hollywood Reporter. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar criticizes Winning Time for crude stick figure characters. And, that's the thing. And as I said, it didn't start so much that way, except with Jerry West. He was just that way all the time. But it gradually, by the end, it got to be a bit much. And you can almost, in a way, it seemed like they were stretching it to reach the 10 episodes, so they were just really kind of cartooning up these characters, for lack of a better term. And then last but not least, my guy Magic Johnson was a little kinder to it, says Winning Time is inaccurate, and says he hasn't watched it. And a lot of the reason is he has an upcoming docuseries called They Call Me Magic about his life and the Showtime Lakers. Unlike Winning Time, Magic's project will be factual and not a dramatization. So one last thing before we go, I just wanted to point out some of the technical aspects of the show. What I really liked is that they used many, many different formats to shoot this. And you can see here, I move this over. So you can see all the different cameras they used. They used Ultra 16 millimeter. They used video cameras. They used Super 8 cameras. They used Pro 8 millimeter classic film. They used a Sony Betacam, which goes back to 80s and 90s. And they did, here it is, 16 millimeter, 35 millimeter, 8 millimeter, and Betacam SP. So they took all these different formats and used it really effectively. And you can see, if I go back to the trailer here, let me move that here. So they had, shots were kind of like soft or overexposed, like that one there. Lots of film grains. You can see where like the sprocket, like right there, will pop out, and you can see the audio track, the optical audio track down the side. So you got the film damage, you got the grain, you got really overblown whites, crushed blacks. It really felt like something of that era. So I think technically, it was really, really well done. Story-wise, it was entertaining enough. And if you can put the historical accuracies aside and just watch it as a loose interpretation of the 1979-1980 Lakers that went on to win the NBA championship that year, and as a whole with Larry Bird and Dr. J and all these other things, just rise, take the NBA out of the pit, and look what it is today. It's a monster. So it's a lot of fun to watch. I highly recommend it. I know season 2's been greenlit. I'm not sure if they're going to do the very next season or if they're going to skip ahead a little bit. Personally, I think they should skip ahead to the mid 80s and really fire up that Celtics Lakers rivalry, and for no other reason than Michael Chiklis plays Celtics owner Red Auerbach, and that'll be a lot of fun to watch Michael Chiklis play Red Auerbach even more than he did in this. So, I'd like to know if you watch this, what you think. Give us a thumbs up. If not, give us a thumbs down. And I hope I can see you from the road over the next few weeks. If not, I will be back with some more content as soon as humanly possible. Thanks, everybody. Be safe. Bye-bye. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up below. Also, please subscribe to GeekTime TV. It really helps us grow the channel. And make sure you hit that bell icon in order to receive notifications every time we drop new content here. You can also check us out on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at GeekTimeNet. Thanks again for watching. We will see you soon.
Say, kids, what time is that?